Choose your discomfort. Guarantee you, if you go for success, if you choose success, if you choose to step out of your comfort zone and into your courage zone, and you allocate the pain of your inner struggles there, I promise you, you will get there as fast as possible. Once again, faster than you think.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ, and welcome to another episode of the Design Live Show. In episode 91 of TDLS, Alex Pedron drops by on the podcast. Alex is the president of the I Influence Institute, co-host of Stories After Swipe Right podcast, and co-founder of NYC-Manila Speaker Summit. Alex is also a bootstrapped startup veteran with a healthy dissatisfaction with the status quo. He is renowned for his maverick methods in business development, sales, and motivating others. Alex has established himself as an esteemed entrepreneur in Metro Manila, Philippines that aims to usher in his expertise to the global stage. In this amazing episode, we talk about his stimulating ground-up story, how he was able to jump ship from having a 9-to-5 job to starting his entrepreneurial journey, the importance of having a great habit and ritual in place to manage sudden changes, how an excruciating moment changed the way he approached life and entrepreneurship, and how he was able to bounce back from adversity, the number one mistake that a ton of creatives and entrepreneurs tend to overlook, why extroversion is a learnable skill, why entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and how connecting with the right people can help you build your business, and how to build your brand while being capital efficient, and much more. So to tell you guys, this is really an amazing episode with Alex. So there's a lot of value bomb here, his journey, how he was able to build his momentum, right, and to build his creative confidence, and those energy really reflects on this episode. And after this episode, believe me or not, I was drained. My creative energy was drained because of Alex. You know, it's an amazing experience to really have Alex on the podcast. So make sure to make yourself comfortable while listening this, and make sure to keep your ears filled until the end, and you know the drill, right? So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe on any of your favorite podcasting app. The podcast is now available on Amazon Music, through Audible, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and you can also check all the amazing episodes at thedesignliveshow.com. And please don't forget to leave a review, a honest feedback on Apple Podcasts. So in that way, you are helping me to reach more people. So I don't want to waste your time anymore. So without further ado, let's go to this episode. You're listening to The Design Live Show, a podcast that's helping everyone grow to live a meaningful and creative life. It's me, Jay Christ, a designer from the Philippines, best known for being an advocate of essentialism and optimism. I'm sitting down with awesome people to talk about their journey, their process, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ, and welcome to another episode of the Design Live Show. And I'm super excited, right? So, and my guest for this episode is a maverick entrepreneur, a podcast host, and a keynote speaker. So I met him on one of the webinar in We Remote PH. We collaborated on that specific webinar. So I'm really excited to have you, Alex, on the show. How are you, man?
Hey, Jay Christ. Hey, everybody. I am doing well. Super excited for this episode. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the warm welcome. I can't wait to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much, man, for dropping by on the podcast. And
for sure.
Just to give context in this episode for those who haven't heard, what are you doing, right? So can you give a little bit about the background of Alex Pedron?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I can start with the professional background. Yeah. So mentioned earlier, maverick entrepreneur, podcaster, and keynote speaker. So what do I mean by a maverick entrepreneur? What does a maverick mean for me? It means that I have a very healthy dissatisfaction with the status quo. You can consider me a rebel in the entrepreneurial arena. And what type of entrepreneurship am I into? Just like Jay Christ over here, I'm into bootstrapping businesses. I love bootstrapping businesses. More so than that, I am also a podcaster. I have a podcast called Stories After Swipe Right. And I co-host that with my fiance because we met on a dating app and we are both talkers. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So we were like, why don't we start a podcast together? And we were like, okay. And we're on our 7th episode now of season 1 on Spotify. And one last thing that Jay mentioned about me is that I'm a keynote speaker. I'm very passionate about public speaking, motivating others, inspiring others. I make it my life's mission to use my voice to really uplift people. So yeah, that's pretty much about me professionally, man. Personally, I love motorcycle touring. I love motorcycle touring and martial arts, which made it difficult for me to get through 2020, bro, because like you can't go outside, right? I can't be going out motorcycle touring, and obviously I can't practice martial arts in a gym because it's closed. So there were a lot of things that I had to get used to on the start of this year. I think we've been in the Philippines, we've been in lockdown since March 15. Is that right? So
Yeah.
And honestly, can I be honest with you, man? It's been pretty difficult to be human.
I can only imagine, man. Especially if you're really physically, inclined, or right, so you do martial arts, right? So like what I've said, and speaking of that, how you manage those stressful days or times when when the government shuts down all the gyms, right? All the the area, especially area in the country, right? Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely, bro. So I actually can consider myself as one of the lucky ones because one of the businesses that I own, it's called I Influence Institute, or I3 for short. It's a people development solutions company, and it specializes in stress management. It actually specializes in stress and adversity management.
All right.
So what I do pre-pandemic is I take on group classes, corporate trainings, one-on-one classes, and I help people out with stress and adversity. And one of the benefits in turn for me is I get to help myself out. Everything that I preach, I also practice.
Gotcha.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned pre-pandemic that really was able to help me out post, or rather not post, we're still in the present pandemic rather, right? So one of the things that I learned pre-pandemic was that I had really great habits and rituals in place,
Gotcha.
So who I was pre-pandemic, like I was all about self-improvement. I was all about building my business. I was all about being passionate with what I do. I was able to carry that over during the pandemic, and that's what has really kept me going. That's what really helped me to adapt to these really life-changing times, man.
That's amazing, man. And actually, your voice is really, really, I think the energy, it really reflects on how you talk about it, right? So, and how you manage the change, right? So I think that's inevitable, right? Change is inevitable, and especially in the innovation space, right? So, and you mentioned as well that you have can we consider it as a brick and mortar business, right? So is that fair, right? So there's a lot of things that happened, and small businesses are bleeding, right? So, and actually it's
true.
It's really, it's really amazing that you still have the energy, right? So you still have the guts, the resilience to really share share all the learnings that you have right now. And I'm really grateful for that, man. And yeah, you've mentioned, right? So we've talked about as well that offline, right? So before we record this episode, right? So you've mentioned that you are an entrepreneur, right? So can you explain a little bit about that? And actually, most of my audience are creatives, right? So, and as you might know, right, creatives are really, really introverted, and so am I before, right? So I'm not really this kind of guy who who really talks a lot, right?
Yeah,
And
I
I
get
just
it. I
do my
get it.
shit,
Yeah.
right? I just do my own shit, right? And I just I don't share my ideas, right? I don't speak a
Hmm.
lot, right? So and if if going back to your journey as an entrepreneur, right? So what's the can you share a little bit the highlights of that, how you transition from from a change man or a change entrepreneur
Sure.
who really
Yeah.
share his ideas to everyone and give your energy to everyone, right?
Absolutely, man. I think I owe a lot of my energy and enthusiasm to a lot of energy drinks and coffee. So a lot of that caffeine really helps me out with the energy, but I've one of my main unique value propositions as a speaker anyway is that I make sure to always bring that enthusiasm no matter what, and
Gotcha.
this is no different. So I'm here to tell my story, but I'm not entirely sure where to start. It's been one hell of a journey. I guess I can
Uh-huh.
start back in 2017 or
All
yeah,
right.
2016, 2017. That's when I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur. Before that, I was working in the business process outsourcing industry. So I was a call
Mm-hmm.
center agent for quite some time. I think I was in the BPO for about four and a half years, and then after that, I started dabbling a little bit in business, and what I did was travel and tours. So
Gotcha.
before
Mm-hmm.
I actually became a speaker, a maverick entrepreneur, and all of that, I was into travel and tours, man. Would you believe it or not?
Gotcha.
I was into mountain hiking.
Mhm. All
Yeah,
right.
so I had this little startup, travel and
Uh-huh.
tours, and our niche was mountain hiking, but just nationally, all over the Philippines. So I was able to make that as a full-time job for me, as a full-time gig for me, meaning to say I was a full-time travel
Uh-huh.
outfit, you know? So
Wow.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was
And
living the
then this
dream a little
pandemic
bit, man.
hits. And then this happens, right?
Actually, it was way before
Uh-huh.
that. So I'm gonna
All right.
start all the way from the ground zero here, man. I'm gonna start
All
all
right.
the
All
way
right.
from the beginning for you here, if that's okay with you, man. So
For sure. For sure. Yeah.
back in 2016, did a little bit of mountain hiking, or rather a lot of mountain hiking. If you could visualize, I was hiking at least 3 to 4 times a week. So three times in a week, it would be a day hike, and then one time it would be an overnight hike. Did that for about 2 years straight, man. And
Mm-hmm.
in that time, I guess I have been able to. I'm not entirely sure what the number is now, but last time I counted, I have probably hiked anywhere between 250 and or to 350 mountains, including the
That's
ones that I
amazing.
have. Yeah, including the ones that I have hiked repeatedly, or the hikes that I've
Uh-huh.
repeated. So
Yeah.
yeah, man, I really made it. I really
What's
made
the
it.
level of these hikes? Intermediate, advanced?
Well, in the Philippines, we have hikes ranging from level 1 to level 9. Level 1 being
Mhm.
the easiest to hike, level 9 being the most difficult.
I see.
So, it would be different. Annually, I would have like a level 9 hike, and then
Man.
a few times a week I would have level 1 to level 3. And it was amazing because I was like a one-man army, bro. So, I did all the social media, I did all the marketing, the advertising,
Yeah.
the sales, and all of that. Meaning to say, and this was bootstrap as well.
Uh-huh.
So other than that, I also did all of the oculars to the new places that I wanted to bring people to. My main mission that time was to bridge the gap between man and nature. So I just wanted to bring everyone to the mountains. I even hired the vans, the boats, if we needed to cross the sea and get to an island or what. Also, what I did was I even guided them up and down the mountain. It was crazy. I did all
Wow.
of that. Yeah, and
Mhm.
then so one day, this was a birthday hike. It was April 2020, April 22 is my birthday. This was back in 2017, going 2018, I believe. So what happened
Mhm.
was we were in Mount Pinatubo. You know where Mount Pinatubo is? Pampanga, right?
Pampanga,
So
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, and there's actually one route that you could take all the way to get all the way to the crater, and you would take a 4x4 getting there. But if you were a mountaineer, there was another route, and it's called the Mountaineer's Way. It's a 50-kilometer traverse. Okay, and usually mountaineers do that in.
All right.
I guess 3 to 5 days would be a good itinerary to complete that hike.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But
That's tiring.
we and a small team, we decided to try and get that done in 3 days or less. All right, so we arrived at the jump off area. Day one, hike, extremely hot. The view is wonderful, unforgettable, beautiful sunrise, beautiful sunset. The following day, we were making our way to the crater summit. So if you take the 4x4, you would end up at the crater lake, at the bottom. But if you take the Mountaineer's Way, you would end up at the top, at the foot of the summit. So it was amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I was making my way to the summit, bro, the night before it rained. So the rocks, the trail, it was slippery. And the worst thing happened, man. I was hiking my way up to the summit and I slipped. And if you could visualize this, man, I dropped my knee at a flat rock, and it was excruciating pain. It was devastating pain. At the time I was not carrying enough dough to get a helicopter and rescue my ass out of there. So it was crazy, man. I was stuck in that summit, and it was painful. So what happened was we had just reached the summit, and the crater summit of Mount Pinatubo, and that's like not even 70% of the hike. I had 30% more of the hike. So meaning to say, I had to resist the excruciating pain from it was my right knee that I banged up. I had to resist the excruciating pain in my right knee as I was walking my ass back to the jump off area. So that was I could say right now, it was the most excruciating moment of my life. But also in hindsight, the pinnacle moment of my life when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I'll tell you all about that in a second. So what happened was, so we were on the way back home. Somehow I was able to make it, obviously, because I wouldn't be talking to you right now if I didn't. But somehow I was able to make
Thankfully, you're here.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So I was on my way home, got home, slept for like 40 hours straight. Woke up, my right knee was swollen. Got it checked up, and then the following day, doctor called me and she was like, "Hey Alex," and I'm paraphrasing this, but she said something like, "Hey Alex, if you hike another mountain, you probably won't be able to walk again." So that scared the shit out of me, man. I felt like I was Superman, I felt like I was invincible, hiking 5 times a week. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized that sometimes your body just can't catch up with your passion. And I had to learn that the hard way, man. So what happened was I was shit scared. I was absolutely scared for my life, because not only was I afraid afraid for myself with the fact that I might not be able to walk in, but also I was a little bit scared for my career, man. I thought I was living the perfect life, traveling 4 times a week around the Philippines. This is paid travel. I get people online to book me as their travel outfitter, and I take them to the mountains. I felt like I was living my dream at the ripe age of, what was I, 25, 26, 27, around that, somewhere around that age. I thought I had it made. And then, to my surprise, it all came crashing down. So I fell into a deep, I guess I would call it depression. I obviously was not, I wasn't sure if I was, I can't say that I was diagnosed with depression, but even now as I try to describe it, I'm at a loss for words. But what I can really say is that it was dark those times, bro. It was really dark, because I fell from living it up, conquering mountains, being on top of the highest summits in the Philippines, to just being bedridden. I thought my life was over. It was crazy, man. It's like you being stripped of your voice, or you being stripped of your your
Yeah.
passion or your inspiration to design. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I felt like I lost a limb literally, and I thought I was gonna lose a limb with my right knee, but turns out that I'm totally fine. But what really was damaging for me was my mindset. So somehow again I was able to get through that. I believe it was between 8 to 9 months of just feeling like shit about myself, and then one day, bro, I was on YouTube and I was browsing a few videos, and what happened was suddenly a video played on its own after an ad. So I kind of like had
Mm-hmm.
YouTube in the background, and I was just
Uh-huh.
being a zombie watching YouTube and shit. And suddenly after an ad, a video played, and guess who the fuck was behind that YouTube video? It was Tony Robbins. So I know you know who Tony Robbins is. It was
Yeah,
Tony Robbins,
yeah,
man.
Tony.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I think it was one of his seminars. I think it was Date with Destiny
Mhm.
or the Firework or something like that. I forget, but it was one of those seminars. It was recorded on YouTube, and he was talking about bouncing back from depression, bouncing back from adversity. And as I was watching
Mhm.
this dude, this tall American dude, a middle-aged dude, really giving his all in front of
Mhm.
thousands of people. There must have been 10,000 people in that YouTube video. And then I thought to myself, I was like, what the fuck? You know what? I can do that. I can do that. I thought to myself, if Tony can talk about bouncing back from depression, bouncing back from really hard times, bouncing back from what you thought was your life was over,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I thought to myself, yeah, I could do that. So somehow that YouTube video, it invigorated me. Somehow it sparked like a I'm at a loss for words, but somehow it sparked like an inner revolution inside me, and I was drawn to that cause. And I knew that if I didn't follow that cause or follow my internal GPS, that blinking little fucking voice, within me, do this, come here, follow me. I
Uh-huh.
knew if I didn't follow that, once again, I would not be where I am today. So all roads lead to this exact moment right now. I'm with you right now, bro, Jay. That's why I'm so thankful and excited and enthusiastic for this moment. So fast forward a little bit, just because I found my calling doesn't mean that everything else was going to be easy. And I think that's what a lot of creatives
100%.
and a lot of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs mistake. Like they think just because you have your why, just because you have your vision, just because you got a
Yeah.
5, 10, 20-year plan set up for you, just because you found your soul goal, doesn't mean that the universe is gonna fucking give you everything on a silver platter.
100%,
And
man.
right?
Yeah.
And I had to learn that the hard way as well. So fast forward to like 2018, where I finally got up off my lazy ass, man, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do with all this energy? I felt like I was on top of the highest summit, my own summit. I was going through my own Everest, bro, and I felt like I finally reached the top. And now I'm looking down. I'm like, okay, what's next? So I was like, I want to be like Tony. I want to be a speaker. I want to motivate people. I want to encourage people. I want to be a trainer. I want to talk in front of people. But the thing is, I didn't have any. I had zero public experience, man. I was so insecure
Oh,
when I started
really?
public
Yeah.
speaking. Yeah,
All right.
if you had met me a little over 3 years ago,
All right.
I would not
That's
be talking like
interesting.
this. I would be
Oh.
shaking, crazy,
Uh-huh.
because like what you said earlier about being an introvert, believe it or not, brother, I am an introvert. I just learned how to be an extrovert. Can you believe that
Gotcha.
shit?
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Uh-huh.
I was an introvert. I was a little bit socially awkward at school, but
Yeah, socially
eventually,
awkward.
yeah, right. But
Yeah.
eventually, my definition for introversion had matured a little bit,
Gotcha.
and I was then empowered by it, and so I positioned myself to learn extroversion because extroversion really is a skill, and I knew that I needed the best of both worlds to be able to
Uh-huh.
connect with, right?
Gotcha.
So what happened was I was able to get a job back in the BPO again. It was one of the Fortune 500 companies here in the Philippines, and it was great. I had great benefits, great fucking salary. I gotta tell you, benefits, salary, all of it was there. But at the same time, I felt like I had golden handcuffs on. You know what I mean? Because I was still hearing that voice. Call me fucking crazy, but I was still hearing that voice in my head. Like, what are you doing? That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be on stage, moving people, shaking people, waking people the fuck up. So you need to wake the fuck up first. And whoa, it was crazy. And I did wake up. And what happened was so I resigned from my post. I think it was 6 to 8 months. I was back in the BPO. I was able to save up a little bit of money, resign from my post, and so this is where so I'm just getting started, man. This is the fun part. Okay, this is the
that's
real
interesting.
entrepreneurial journey, man. So this is what happened. So stay tuned, man. This is what happened. So after I resigned from my post, I was left with 1 month's salary and also 30 days later my back pay. So all in all, I had I think it was 45,000 pesos. That's like in dollars, what is that? Like 900, 800, $900, something like that, right? And then US dollars. So and then of course I had to pay for my bills, right? Once again, bootstrap. So I had to pay for my bills first. So I had to pay for my electricity bill, water, dues, rent, food. Gotta do some groceries, of course. And I also have a daughter. So now she's 9 years old. But back then she was 6. I believe she was 6 years old. So I had to give her and her mother enough money for at least 2 to 3 months. Basically, long story short, what I was left with was 10,000 pesos, man, or $200. That's what I was left with. Okay, so I have
What did you do?
Zero experience. Yeah, so I have zero experience in public speaking, in starting a startup with a professional market, a corporate market, and I had little to no venture capital. So can you feel my predicament here, Jay? It's a little bit crazy, and I know a lot of
it's resonating.
I know a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs out there, not just in the Philippines but everywhere. I know everybody here can relate to me being in the situation that I was in. It's the feeling is crazy. I always say entrepreneurs, creatives in the entrepreneurial arena, we're like gladiators, man. We are like fucking gladiators. We are thrown out into the fray, and you never know. You could just be cut, and then that would be it. You really never know.
Uncertainty.
You've got to be crazy to get into a business where any day, at any time, you could be done. Literally anything can happen. Look what happened this year. Fucking pandemic, man. Nobody could have foreseen that shit. It's crazy, right? But as gladiators as well, only the strong survive. So part of my journey had a lot of surviving, man. So I'm gonna get to that really quick, just to give a highlight of my journey. So I had $10,000. I went on. So the first thing that I needed to do was I needed training. I needed someone to teach me. I needed guidance. So I went on LinkedIn and created this fucking kick-ass LinkedIn profile. If you could search Alex Pedron, you'll find me there.
We will add that on the show notes.
Thank you, man. So what happened was I was on LinkedIn and I was just connecting with people, connecting with professionals, all from all over the world, all industries. And then eventually I narrowed down. I started connecting with business owners, startup owners. I started connecting with coaches, started connecting with mentors. So I had all of these connections. Probably I was connecting with or attempting to connect with at least 200 people a day. Eventually, I ended up with 1,000 plus connections, and I was like, okay, I got 1,000 people who can possibly help me out. What do I do now? So I went on my laptop, got on my laptop rather, opened my Notepad app, and I created like a script. If like a script, practically what was the contents of the script. I wish I still had it. I would read it to you, but I don't have it anymore. But what it did say, it was like I was really just begging for people to teach me. I was really just begging for
Mentorship.
people.
Yeah, for mentorship. Yeah.
Mentor me,
Gotcha.
help me. This is my
Uh-huh.
vision. This is what I want to do. All
Uh-huh.
I have is this. Guide me, guide me.
Fantastic. Yeah.
And I
Yes.
remember I messaged like 200 people, 200 people, man,
Wow.
all over the world.
How many
And
no's?
then what do you mean? How many?
How many no's
Not a
in
lot,
the
man. Not a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I actually don't even share this story to a lot of people, but I messaged over 200 people on LinkedIn before, and about
Uh-huh.
50 people responded. So
Yeah,
they were like, "Oh, you
that's
gotta do
great.
this."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, you gotta
Uh-huh.
read this, you gotta read that, you gotta have these tools, have those tools, you gotta connect with this person, connect with that person. So it was all great, but eventually, as time went by, that 10,000 pesos it became 9,000, then it became 8. Then it became 5. Then it became 4. So, I wasn't making any money, man. That's the thing about entrepreneurship as well. You got to go
Mm-hmm.
against the fucking tide,
Gotcha.
and I'll tell you all about that later on. But yeah, my resources, it was dwindling, and I wasn't getting the immediate results that I needed to sustain my journey. So
Yeah.
what
Mm-hmm.
happened was after talking with 50 people all around the globe, I joined a group here in the Philippines. It's called LinkedIn Local Philippines. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but
Uh-huh.
it's called LinkedIn Local, and it's a bunch of volunteers and advocates who help each other. They're a bunch of professionals, entrepreneurs, and they just help each other out. So
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
I think I messaged like 20 people there, and most of them didn't reply. And then I think I met with like 5 or 8 people out of the 20 that I messaged. I met with them, and so take note. I only had like 4,000 pesos in resources. This is
Yeah.
less than $100, but
Man, it's
I
stressing.
really
It's
yeah,
stressing
it
me
was
out.
crazy, but yeah, it's crazy. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about what I could
Uh-huh.
learn. I
Yeah.
put more
Mm-hmm.
value in learning,
100%.
and I think a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs can resonate with me when I say putting value in learning. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what I did, regardless if I had very, very little, resources. So I met with these people, and same story, man. They were able to give me advice, but it wasn't
Uh-huh.
it wasn't actionable advice for me. It wasn't the kind of advice that would
Gotcha.
help me launch. It wasn't the type of advice that would help me create an action map, a roadmap. Okay, this is what you got to
Yeah.
do. Then this is what you got to
Uh-huh.
do, and then boom, make money. Because I believe it or not, man, I needed to make money. Money was a big thing for me. Was a big thing for me before, because I wouldn't be able to once again sustain this journey that I got myself
Yeah.
into.
Mm-hmm.
Have any money, and of course I need to provide for my daughter. So to all the creatives and entrepreneurs out there who's just starting, who has started or is thinking about starting, I don't even know how you do it with a family. I don't even know how I fucking did it, but kudos to you guys. That is crazy what you guys are doing. Absolutely powerful as well. I just want to put that out there because I don't think they're appreciated enough. I know you got a family yourself, Jay, so kudos to
Yeah, I
you.
have a daughter
You're
as well. Yeah.
yeah, crazy. You're crazy. So what happened was this last person that I met with, we met at a donut shop, Krispy Kreme fucking donut shop, and
Gotcha. Uh-huh.
it was just supposed to be for coffee, and I thought
Uh-huh.
I thought it was just gonna be another meeting where
Uh-huh.
I would get really cool advice, but
Yeah.
nothing that I could really build on. So I was
Uh-huh.
slipping a little. I was a little on the negative side. But to my surprise, we talked and talked and talked, and he was like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a chance. And so he gave me the opportunity to franchise his business for free. So
Wow.
it's
Mhm.
like, holy shit. Okay. And this is
Is
just
it
based on passion.
angel investor?
Grit alone. Not even an angel investor, man. He didn't give me any money. He was just
Yeah,
like,
first.
okay, if I know you look resourceful enough, and you look
Angels
like you want
sent
it
from
bad.
heaven.
Yeah, an angel. Okay, let's just leave angel. Period. He was like, you look
Yeah.
like you want this shit bad enough, and you want to be a public speaker. Okay, one of the things that I believe you need to become a public speaker, you need something to back you up, right?
Yeah,
So if
100%.
you call yourself an entrepreneur, so how are you walking the walk? What service do you have? What product do you have? And so he let me franchise his business for free, but I just had to really come up with all of the resources to put up the office and
Gotcha.
also market and all of that. So I was given the key. I just really needed to put together the funds and everything that I needed to put together to really lift this franchise off the ground. And for context, this franchise is also in people development. So what we sell a service. We pretty much sell confidence. So we teach people we teach people public speaking, and we teach them confidence in public speaking. And
Gotcha.
so that was like I was able to hit two birds with one stone. Not only did I get the training to become an exceptional public speaker, but
Uh-huh.
also I got business in return. So it was
Yeah.
crazy. At the brink of having little to no more resources, I was offered this. But of course, I wasn't out of the woods yet. It only gets better. So here we go, man. I didn't. So fast forward,
Uh-huh.
I was able to come up with the funds. Borrowed money here, borrowed money there. I took up a few rackets here, took up a few rackets there. I guess probably the most humbling thing that I did to come up with extra funds was that because I live in a condominium, right?
Yeah.
And it's not a particularly expensive condominium because we're just outside of the city, so the main city rather. So and it's awkward to admit this, but I would go to the garbage chute of every floor and collect fucking bottles and plastics, put it in a
Gotcha.
suitcase, go to the nearby fucking junk shop. What can you give me for this? And I would get like spare fucking change, man. Not even 100 pesos, not even $2. But that 100 pesos, that $2 was enough for me to commute from where I live to my office, to the main city.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I would
Yeah.
fucking do every goddamn day, man. I would like go to the garbage chute every floor. There's 10 floors in my building, and I would gather people's trash, put it in a suitcase, and then walk all the way to the junk shop. And eventually, I got to know the owner, and he was like, "Okay, I'll give you a little extra." Until he asked me, "What do you do anyway?" And then I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. So he's like, "Really? Do entrepreneurs do this?" And that's what I want to highlight. So people see
Yeah.
entrepreneurship as fucking. I think people just see the good side of entrepreneurship. People see
100%.
what we
Yeah.
post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, like, oh shit, this guy, this girl, they've got it good. They've got this car, they've got this house, they're living well and all that. But I'm just gonna put it out there. Fight me if you will. But this is the dark side of entrepreneurship that the lot of you will probably have to go through, which is exactly why I don't recommend entrepreneurship. I like to think of myself as a good judge of character. I could really see if you got that grit and passion. I
Yeah.
know because I've got it. And sometimes you could just really see right. You could just really see through people, And sometimes people might consider me as a fucking douchebag for that. Like, dude, man, you're the most fucking arrogant person I've ever met. But little did they
Mhm.
know that I had to really build up all the strength and confidence in myself to get to where I am now. So going
Yeah.
back
Mhm.
goddamn garbage chute to the junk shop owner. His name is Edgar, and Mr. Edgar. I don't even know what his fucking last name is, but Mr. Edgar, and he was like, okay, I'll give you a little something extra. I was like, great. I was so thankful for that. And what I would eat every day was either oatmeal 3 fucking times a day, or I would eat like half rice, which costs like 5 pesos,
Yeah.
and I would eat a half order of vegetables, which cost 10 pesos. So I would either eat 3 meals oatmeal, or one meal, half rice and half an order of vegetables. So I had a lean fucking body, but you know what I mean? It was crazy. You know, it was crazy. Because I was just so fucking hungry all of the
Yeah.
time. In the literal sense, man, I was so hungry. Oh my god. But the hunger that really prevailed was my hunger to succeed, my hunger to
Mhm.
learn, my hunger to progress. And I followed that. I fed that more. I fed that hunger more, right? So, and then fast forward a little bit later, and for additional context, I didn't close my first sale until 9 months later. I
Gotcha.
did not close my first sale until 9 months later. So I actually don't know how I was able to make it to the 9 months. Once again, this was a bootstrap franchise, bootstrap startup. I'm teaching people public speaking, and
Yeah.
I was talking. Yeah, it was great. I was talking in front of a lot of people, but at the back of my mind, man, you're fucking poor.
Mhm.
You have no sales. You're doing speaking engagements for free. It's
Mhm.
and then you're thinking about motivation. It's there was this conflict, man. And then this
Uh-huh.
guy freaking walks in my office, and
Gotcha.
I was like,
Uh-huh.
are you lost? I was so a prospect or a customer walking into my office was so fucking
Yeah.
alien to me. Are
All
you
right.
lost? Do you need direct? Like, no, I'm here to inquire. And I was like, holy shit. And then yeah, I was able to close my first sale, pay a bit of bills, eat a proper meal, get a good night's sleep. But obviously that wasn't end of that. That wasn't the end of that gauntlet. Basically, the struggles, and I believe this is one thing that you would like to know about me, Jay, right? Because this really defines my character as an entrepreneur. One of the biggest struggles I had was when I was first starting, especially the first 9 months when I had no sales at all. What I would do was freaking guerrilla warfare, man. You know how I did my marketing? So obviously I couldn't afford ads. So what
Yeah.
I did
Mhm.
was next to my small fucking office, there was this very cheeky, very sweet old lady, and
Mhm.
she had a food hall, right?
Gotcha.
And during lunchtime, people would just swarm her food stall. And I had this makeshift tarpaulin of my franchise, and I was like,
Ah.
and I went up to her and I was like, "Is it okay if I can put up my tarpaulin in front of your food stall?" And I was like, that was one of the most humbling experiences ever as well. And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Wow, so that office." I was
Amazing.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." So that
Mhm.
eventually the first client or prospect that came in, the first sale that I closed, I was like, how'd you find out about us? Oh, I eat all the time at that food stall for lunch, and I saw your business, and I didn't know that it was just right next door, so I decided to walk in because I actually have a presentation coming up, and I'm a little bit nervous. And I was like, wow, yeah, you're my best client. It was that client
It's
was already
amazing.
warm to begin with, and yeah, that's a story about that. So also remember, I had to go through some garbage chutes to get commute money. So there were some days where there was just no more fucking bottles or plastics for me to get.
Yeah.
It fucking ran out. I don't know what happened, but somehow the garbage chute ran out of plastics and bottles. So eventually
Yeah.
I had to stop staying in my house and start staying in my office because I had this overdue electricity bill, and I think I had just enough money to pay for the electricity bill to turn it back on, or
Gotcha.
what I could
Mhm.
or leave it on rather, or what I could do was I could use that money, and then instead of using that money to like pay for the electricity or commute, I could just
Mhm.
stay in my office. So obviously I chose the latter, man. So I started sleeping in my office. My landlady was fucking pissed off. You can't sleep here. You can't sleep here. I'm like, it's just for a few days. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm just having a little bit of a hard time. Just give me a break. And I was the one who was pissed. So I'm sorry to my landlady before, but I was just going through some shit, man. And another humbling experience or another struggle that I would go through. The restroom, the bathroom was I didn't have a restroom in my office. I had a pretty small office. So the bathroom was outside of the office, but within the compound of where my office was. So it was a public restroom, and the compound where my office was surrounded by a lot of Korean restaurants. So there were a lot of people going in and out of the restroom at any
Mm-hmm.
time. So I had
Yeah.
to like wake up early enough where people aren't going in and out of the restroom. And that was 4:30 in the morning, by the way, because
Yeah.
the comp opens at 5, and then people are just going in and out, fucking everywhere. So I had to like wake up at 4:30, do my thing in the restroom, take a goddamn shower using the bidet. That's why every time I see a bidet in the restroom, I'm like, yo,
Oh my god.
that's what's up. You guys got a
Yeah.
bidet. You deserve
You
that.
just
You know, I was in ice cold fucking showers in the bidet every day for like 2 weeks until that golden client came in. So
uh-huh.
that's a little bit about some of the
Man.
struggles that I went through.
Yeah.
And that this franchise,
Mhm.
to cut it short, this franchise is what I use to build my main business called I Influence
Uh-huh.
Institute, or I3 for short, which is really all about stress and adversity management because I live that,
Uh-huh.
man. So
Yeah.
I still own the franchise up until now. I actually just renewed my contract
Amazing,
with
man.
my LinkedIn mentor. We went on to become great. We're fucking family. You know, we went on
Yeah.
to become great friends. His name is JC. I'm gonna give him a shout out here. We want to become great friends, and he continues to mentor me, to advise me. He has always had my back since day one, and I think that's one piece of advice that
Yeah.
I could share with the creatives and entrepreneurs out
Mhm.
there. You have just one person who believes in you. That's enough to get
Yeah.
started. But I mean, this
100%.
guy,
Mhm.
he was my rock those times. You know, he really believed in me, and you know, I was through this franchise. I was able to build I Influence Institute. Finally, I was able to build. Eventually, met my fiance in 2020. 3 years later, we built a
Wow.
podcast together. And my
That's
recent
amazing.
bootstrap startup called New York City Manila Speaker Summit. It's a virtual conference organized both in New York, USA, and Manila, Philippines. We're all about social upliftment. We're gonna have a virtual conference this December 19, and that's gonna be one conduit for me to really, really use my voice to provide social upliftment, motivation, encouragement to help people look forward to 2021. So basically, that's what I've been through and where I'm at now, man.
Wow.
There you go. Nutshell. Did
Wow,
I
that's
talk
amazing, man.
enough,
Yeah.
man?
Uh,
Crazy.
yeah. I just wanted to highlight for those who are listening. I think one of the best thing that we can learn from Alex's journey is that the being resourceful, right? So whatever resources you have right now, right? Whatever whatever passion project or passion that you want to really learn or probably really grow, if you have a brand or business, I think that's really resonating with me, thinking a lot of struggles with how Alex explained his journey. I think that's freaking awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. And
Absolutely. I mean, I think it
yeah.
was Tony Robbins that said, yeah, I think it was
Uh-huh.
Tony Robbins himself that said, it's not about your resources, it's about being resourceful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people mistake that if you have enough resources, you could be successful as a creative or
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur, and that's a fatal mistake that you can make because resources, that's not even half the game. It's really about psychology. It's about mindset. It's about the perfect balance between knowledge and execution. One thing that I learned in my journey is that knowledge is only as powerful as execution.
Yeah.
you know
100%.
so
Uh-huh.
absolutely, man. And yeah, it's just all about your mindset as well. I believe that what happened to me as well when I started in entrepreneurship is that my mind changed about a lot of things, and because my mind
Mhm.
changed about a lot of things, I also lost some friends. I lost a lot of friends along the way. I'm talking about great friends, man.
Uh-huh.
Friends that I have been with for a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
So you evolve as a creative and as an entrepreneur, and people will come and go. You'll find out that people will come and go
Yeah.
because of the way you think. But then eventually, just like with what happened with Jay Christ and me, once again, I told Jay Christ earlier before this interview, I'm like, why didn't we meet earlier, man? But eventually,
sure.
you will meet people just like you who will uplift you and support you. So thank you for that, Jay.
100%, man, and it's an honor to have you on the show. And actually, parang we're a brother from a different mother, so
For sure.
from another mother, right? So I think that's
Sure.
really, that's super interesting to really share your journey about that. And you are doing now, right? The business development, sales, and of course, the number one thing that you are really, really good at is motivating others.
Yeah.
I just want to really try to dig deeper about business development and sales. And most of the time, Filipino creatives, especially Filipino creatives, right? We don't have these
Absolutely.
skills, right? we,
Yeah.
I'm
So,
super, I'm super being honest with this one, and I want to really dig deeper about this. How do you develop this sales skills, right? So sales strategy, and what's your best practical advice for every creative or aspiring creative entrepreneurs out there?
I love that question. Absolutely. So here we go. I believe, and not everyone might agree with me here. I believe the most important thing in business, especially if you're a startup, especially if you're a bootstrap startup like myself and Jay Christ, you need sales, because sales will help sustain you for you to be able to continue this wonderful life-changing journey of entrepreneurship. You need sustenance. Sales will help you do that. Along the way, I have learned certain techniques to help me become a better closer, but not only that, to help me connect with people more. So to answer your question, Jay, about sales, if there's a practical advice that I can give creatives and entrepreneurs right now, is that you need to change your mindset about sales. For example, if I ask you, what is sales? When I say the word sales, what's the first thing that comes into your mind? So take a minute, take 10 seconds to reflect on that. And if what's coming in your mind right now is money, sales targets, closing, phone calls, and all of that, I'm not saying that's wrong, but you're not getting the point, because sales is about connecting with people. And
Gotcha.
over the years, I learned how to connect with people better. Therefore, that made me a better salesman. Have you ever met a creative or an entrepreneur, Jay, and they just sounded so salesy? It's a little awkward.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little
Yeah, for
awkward.
sure.
Like they got this fucking script, and they're just copy
Yeah.
pasting script, chatting all of their leads, chatting all of their prospects, or they're just telling
Do you
what
want
your
me to
problem
drop
are
names,
with your
man?
business. No,
Just
no, no,
kidding.
no, no, no. We're not like that. We're not like that. I think
No,
I
for
think
sure.
yeah, for real, man. We don't need to, because it's gonna be a long list of names. But what's important here is that some people will do that, man. Once again, the copy paste with the chats, and then all of it, or most of the time, what happens is they make you feel bad for your own business process, that you need my product or you need my service to become successful, and it's all to me and fight me. It's all fucking bullshit. How can you connect with people like that? That's not sales. You know what I mean? Change your mind about sales. Sales is about connecting with people. Sales is about being human. You want to know how to be more human in sales? Here's another piece of practical advice for you. And it's in the form of a question. So let's say you're a startup owner. Let's say you're a creative looking to get more clients or what have you. If you've got a product or service and you want to push it in the market, ask yourself this question. What is it like to be on the receiving end of me? Once again, what's it like to be on the receiving end of me? So you're talking to a prospect, but imagine if that prospect was you. How would you react to you? Okay, and based on that empowering question, you could fix a lot of your problems about how you connect or how you make sales. There you go.
Yeah,
That's what I've
100%.
been doing.
Yeah, that's really, really. I think that's a value bomb right there, and thank you so much for sharing that. And I think a lot of people should really, should really change, this mindset of trying to have the transactional, approach, right? So right now,
Yeah,
the landscape is changing, right? So we are, we need to really build meaningful relationship, like what Alex said, and I think that's the, to really connect with the people you admire, right? So the people
for sure.
that might help you, right? So and provide value. Don't ask with anything. I think karma is good business, right? So and I think that's
Absolutely.
one
You
of
got to
the
drop a
main
coin in the karma bank
for
every
sure.
day.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that's the most important, or the most essential things that I've learned from talking with Alex as well, offline and online, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's I think you've shared a lot of value, man, and I'm super grateful to have you on the show. And
For
I have
sure.
a few questions, and I'm really, really, I'm really enjoying this conversation,
Yeah.
right? And
Nitpick my
uh,
mind, man. Go ahead.
for sure, man. And with regards to creating value, right? So and motivating others, right? So I think it's really it's something that sometimes it's really hard, right? So if
Absolutely.
I think entrepreneurship as well is not for everyone, right? So I think it's
No
not
way.
for everyone. And how do you, what and how do you know what I mean? It's something like how do you fight those internal struggles, right?
Like
I
the
know, and we know,
insecurities.
right? So yeah, there's an external factors, right? So it's existing, right? The environment, the culture,
Absolutely.
the society,
It's crazy.
these things that society imprints on us, right? So and for every creatives out there, entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs who really, really probably passionate, but trying to overcome those internal challenges they
For
have right
sure.
now, or those
Yeah, I'd
those
love to talk about
demons,
that.
right? Those
I'd love to
demons
talk
that
about that.
probably
Yeah.
those demons that saying this negative stuff, right? Negative shits, right? And how do you overcome those, right? So can you share your insights about that?
I would love to. And, just to resonate with everyone, I think all of us have our own demons and
Yeah.
it can get a little, it can get a little out of hand sometimes, especially when I was starting out as a business owner slash public speaker. So when I started out as a public speaker, my first speaking engagement was at a school. My second speaking engagement, I opened up for a famous speaker here in Manila, Philippines, and then I also during that opening, another speaker spoke alongside me, and that second engagement really made visible these demons that we were talking about, this insecurity that we're talking about, because
Uh-huh.
that other speaker who opened alongside me for the other famous speaker, he had all the credentials, man. He was like I think he was like he had all the letters after his fucking name. All the
Shit.
letters after his name, more than 20 years experience
Oh man.
doing this shit and that shit, right? And
So
then you
like
have me, and then you have Alex Pedron, motivational speaker. And I was take note, I was only like I think I was like 28 or yeah, I think I was like
uh-huh.
28, going 29 years old at that time. Man, this guy was like in his middle aged guy, really knows what the hell he's doing. So that I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm here. It's cool. I'm here that I'm sharing the stage with these giants, but to be real with everyone out there, I felt a lot of insecurity. I felt like I was not good enough. I felt like I was not worthy enough. I felt like I was gonna fucking choke. I felt like
Uh-huh.
no words were gonna come out of my mouth during that engagement. So I had a very short duration to speak. Like I think it was just like 15 minutes to talk, just to really motivate people and hype people up for the next speaker. But like I said, this other established speaker spoke before me, okay? And
Uh-huh.
I was like, man, what am I gonna do? But what happened was instead of paying attention to him, instead of paying attention to that speaker, I paid attention to the audience. And what I learned from the audience that time was like the speaker couldn't really connect with them. The speaker, or rather the audience couldn't reach the speaker. The speaker kind of put himself in a pretty high pedestal.
Yeah.
I'm successful. I have reached this. You need to listen to what I say, and this is what you need to fucking do. Pretty much that was what happened. And I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? You've got all those letters, after your name. You got all this experience in corporate. You did this, you did that, and that's fucking great. But you know what? I have been picking fucking trash for the better part of almost 9 months. I chose to sleep in my office over my own home. I have been taking a shower in ice cold bathroom water for almost 9 fucking months. I talked to the wonderful lady with the food stall if she can put up my tarpaulin for marketing. You don't have that. I have that. So what I ended up doing, and this is the practical advice that I'm about to give, you need to celebrate yourself. Celebrate yourself more. Gotcha. Because there are things that you have been through that no one else fucking has. And what happened to me was I got on that stage and I was completely authentic. I was completely vulnerable. And I was able to level with my audience. I didn't put myself on a pedestal. What I did was, so there was a stage and the audience was at the bottom of the stage. I got off the stage and I was walking among the audience. That's exactly what I did. And I was able to level with them, and they were able to connect with me. And there was just this wonderful flow between the audience and I. And in that 15 minutes, I could say that I was truly myself. So here's my advice to you about the inner struggle, about those demons. Don't try to get rid of it. It'll always be there. Pay attention to it. Celebrate it. These experiences that you go through are unique to you. They are empowering if you know how to communicate it that way. One way to communicate your pain in an empowering way is to once again answer a question that I'm about to ask you. Where are you allocating your pain? Once again, where are you allocating your pain? So here's a favorite quote that I like to share. It's called, choose your discomfort. And guess what, guys? Failure, that shit is uncomfortable. Failure is very uncomfortable. Success, that's also uncomfortable. So why not just go for success anyway? If you're going to experience that discomfort, you 100%. Could actually choose it. Choose your discomfort. It's going to be painful either way. To experience failure, that's uncomfortable, that's painful. Or rather go for success, that's uncomfortable, that's painful. Where are you allocating your pain? Where are you allocating the pain of your inner struggle? Guys, the pain of your inner struggle, that's energy. That is raw energy. If you use that raw energy to drive you to where you want to be, I guarantee you will get there extremely fast, faster than you think. What most tend to do is that they tend to allocate their pain or their insecurities into more stress, into self-paralysis. And you know what? With that being said, choose your discomfort. Guarantee you, if you go for success, if you choose to step out of your comfort zone and into your courage zone, and you allocate the pain of your inner struggles there, I promise you, you will get there as fast as possible. Once again, faster than you think. That's what happened to me.
Man, that's super valuable. Thank you for sharing that. I think, I'm really asking myself, where have you been, man? Likewise. We just met, right? And I think that's the most powerful advice that everyone could get. For anyone who are listening, I think if you're really struggling right now, if you're trying to really overcome those demons, and I don't know if you still procrastinating, right? Probably this would really helpful, and I think for me it's really helpful because the energy of Alex, it's tremendous, right?
I make sure to make it rain out there, man. I make sure to fucking make it rain out there.
It's raining here, right? So yeah, and just a little, before we wrap up the show, man. It's going to, and I just noticed that we are
Yeah, I think we can talk all
we're talking
day.
we're talking 1 hour already, right? But I have a few questions before we
Sure.
wrap up this show. But with regards to if everyone's out there that probably has this passion to really go out there and challenge the status quo, right? So you've mentioned that you
Be a
have a
maverick.
healthy
Yeah.
dissatisfaction with the status quo, right? And how can you share a little bit how does it started, right? Especially for Filipinos who shy, introverted Asian guy who grow
Okay.
up in
Yeah,
you
I
know
got it. I got it. All
an
right. Very
Asian family,
traditional, very closed
very
off.
tradition.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Can you share a little bit about that? Well, what's your insights about that? What's your energy that
Mhm.
you want to share for everyone who are listening?
Absolutely, Jay. So just like you, I am an introvert, learned extrovert, right? So I
Yeah.
was a little bit closed off as well. It was difficult for me to become socially acceptable, socially acceptable, I guess. And part of my branding, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a maverick entrepreneur, as a
Uh-huh.
maverick. So a maverick, once again, is like a rebel in whatever area the maverick is in. Okay, and having a healthy dissatisfaction with the status quo. And if you want to do the same, let me tell you where it started for me. It started with, and I think this is the perfect transition to the previous question, because for me, it started becoming a maverick or disrupting the status quo. For me, started with my insecurities. Like
Yeah.
back when I was just starting out as an entrepreneur, no one wanted to hire me. No one wanted to freaking, like, who the hell are you, man? You didn't finish college. You don't have any letters after your name. You only got 4 years of experience of this, and you telling me we should hire you and pay you this amount of money? You must be crazy as hell. They're right about one thing. I am crazy as hell. So what I did was, okay, if y'all are not gonna hire Alex Pedron, I'm just gonna create my own event. That's what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do. Okay. So guys, what is the status quo right now? Okay. Can you step out of that and create your own standards for it? Once again, I'm going to give you a question to reflect. Can you step out of the status quo and change it? How can you make it better? How can you add your own flavor to it? You can actually do that. This is how I came up, along with my co-founder, came up with the idea of New York City-Manila Speakers Summit. Now, there are a lot of
Yeah.
virtual conferences out there, and the year 2020 is about to end, so a lot of virtual conferences are popping up. And I applied for them. I was like, hey, are you guys looking for a speaker? I could talk about this, I could talk about that, really add energy and value to your virtual conference. And they were like, we found someone else. And they're like, we don't think that we could use your expertise for this particular virtual conference. And I was like, what the fuck? Okay, you know what? If you guys don't want to hire me, I'm just going to create my own. And that's what I did.
Yeah, create your
So
own opportunity, right?
exactly.
So,
Break down those
that's
freaking
amazing,
doors.
man.
Break down
Yeah.
those limiting beliefs. There's one trait, if you decide to take on the maverick path, is that you gotta go bold. You really gotta disrupt.
Gotcha.
All caps.
Gotcha.
You really gotta disrupt the status
Yeah.
quo. Like, hey man, you're not gonna
Hashtag
hire me,
disrupt.
then
Yeah.
I'm gonna, put up my own company instead. Okay, hey man, you're not gonna hire me for your conference. Okay, I'm gonna start my own conference instead. You gotta go bold, and you know what? It's crazy to do that. Once again, I'm not saying that I'm not crazy. I am crazy, and if you're a maverick, you gotta have a little cuckoo in your head, man. But it's been very, very rewarding for me because I was able to really, push the industry forward. I was able to really expand it. And that's exactly what we're going to do with New York City Manila Speakers Summit
Yeah.
this December 19th. That's exactly
That's
what we're
amazing, right? Yeah, that's amazing for anyone who are, who are trying to really overcome those challenges, those limiting beliefs. I think Alex would really help
For
you,
sure.
right? And he's a bootstrap startup veteran.
Yeah.
Where did you? Saan ka pa pupunta? Just reach out to him and
Thank you. I
DM
appreciate
him,
that.
right? Yeah, I think I think it's really valuable, man. Thank you so much for all the insights, for all the knowledge, for the journey you've shared,
Anytime.
for being
Anytime.
vulnerable, right? For
Yeah.
being vulnerable
Anytime.
with the TDLS audience, right? And before we wrap up the show, what's your best practical advice for in general, right? For those who are listening right now, if for anyone who has 9 to 5 job, who want to transition from to being an entrepreneur, or for those creatives who want to be more business savvy, right? Or
Yeah.
to really run their own show, right? Run their own life and design
Yeah.
the life they really
Exactly.
deserve. I think
Exactly.
that's the most important part here. What's your best practical advice for them?
Yeah, man, I agree with you that, eventually people want to be everything that you just said. Eventually people work to be everything that you just said. And in fact, I had already given this piece of practical advice earlier, but I'm going to say it again to reinforce it. Choose your discomfort. Choose your discomfort. If you're working in a 9 to 5, you might be uncomfortable. If you're working in a 9 to 5 and you want to start a business, that's especially uncomfortable. Starting a business, especially uncomfortable. Choose your discomfort. If you want to looking to transition to a new job, if you want to be like Jay Christ, a designer, a creative, podcaster, all out amazing dude, choose your discomfort. Because guys, I'm going to give you the bullet right now. Entrepreneurship, being a creative, anywhere in the world, it's not easy. It's not easy. But if you have that internal GPS like I had, where constantly there's a blinking fucking light within you telling you, do this, go here, let's do this. If you don't follow that, if you ignore that internal GPS, you might regret it. And the last thing that I would want anyone to have is a life of regrets. So choose your discomfort. Failure is uncomfortable. Success is uncomfortable anyway. You might as well go for success. There you go. That's pretty much it, man.
That's really amazing, man. Thank you so much for sharing all of those value bombs. I think that's the keyword here, value bombs for
Love
Alex
that. Love
Pedron.
that.
Really love that. Thank you so much, man, for dropping by on the podcast, and for everyone who wants to follow your journey, probably ask some questions, right? Bug you.
Yeah,
Bug you some
go ahead, man.
questions.
Please.
Especially
about
for
helping
introverts
people.
out there, for entrepreneurs, aspiring creatives, entrepreneurs out there. Where's your what's the link where they can find you?
It's easiest to reach me on Facebook or Instagram. So just search for Alex Pedron. There's only one me out there anyway. If you want the it's at AEJR Pedron. That's AEJRPEDRON. I look forward to answering more questions that you have. If you need motivation, I'm here. So yeah, it was just really great to share my story here, Jay Christ.
Thanks,
And
man. Yeah.
I'm just really looking forward to what next year has to bring for all of us. And yeah, we'll see you then.
Thanks, man, for for uplifting all the listeners right now. So for those who are listening right now, all the links are all the things that we've mentioned here on the podcast. The useful, essential things that you want to check. You can check that out on our show notes below. And
Nice.
the podcast, right? So I have great news, Alex. So this is the I think you're the second guest that I've told this, or that
Really?
I'm telling this, right? So
Uh-huh.
the podcast is now available on Amazon Music. You can listen
Nice.
through
Well done.
Audible, right? So, and for those who are listening, you can check that out as well on major podcasting platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, right? And on any of your favorite podcasting app, actually. And you can check the official website at thedesignliveshow.com and check all the amazing insights, the change makers, right? So the innovators, the motivators,
That's
like
right.
this episode with Alex. It's really tremendous, right? And it's really massive value for everyone who really try to make that jump, right? To really create their own, to design the life or business they really deserve. So once again, man, thank you so much for dropping by on the podcast.
Thank
and
you.
talk to you soon.
Thank you.
And that's it. So thank you so much, guys, for listening again to the podcast, and I really appreciate it. For those people who are asking me on how to support the podcast, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. So in that way, you can help me to reach more people and make the podcast more discoverable within the ecosystem. You can also take a screenshot of this podcast and share it with your friends, colleagues, or to anyone that might be interested in this kind of contents. You can also support the podcast monetarily by visiting jcristeves.com/donate or patreon.com/TDLS. And you can also shop courses and tools online to design the life you really deserve by visiting my shop at shop.jcristeves.com. And you can book a call today. I don't bite, just let me know, guys. So the last one would be also by listening and to all the podcast episode and previous episode. And however you support my message, however small that is, more than enough, and it means the world to me. So thank you so much, and see you again next time.